We're talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide coming off their last big visit weekend in June. So let's bring on BamaOnline insider Andrew Bone. Get right to it. The Buford boys were on campus. You know who I'm talking about. Five-star teammates KJ Bolden and Edric Houston. Now, coming into this visit, Bama was not considered the favorite heading in. What did you learn about where Bama stands after their time on campus?
Well, Buford, Bama. I mean, that's kind of been the motto for the last several months. Alabama's hoping that they can continue that pipeline to Buford. They've had a lot of success there through the last few years, and especially last year when they were able to go in there and steal Justice Haynes, away from Georgia. So, I think with KJ Bolden and Edric Houston, these are two guys that Alabama has heavily targeted for a long time. KJ. Got a chance to talk to him after the visit. He says that Alabama is in his top three, heading into July. And Alabama did, kind of what they do. I mean, they make a strong impression on the family. They make a strong impression on the kids. But I think once you kind of sit down with Nick Saban, go over the game plan for your future, what it can look like in Tuscaloosa, it leaves a very strong impression on these kids. So, that's what Alabama was trying to do this weekend, and I think they were able to do that. So, going into July, we have Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia really fighting hard for KJ Bolden. And then with Edric Houston, this is a big defensive lineman. He's 6'4", 278 pounds. A lot of schools see him as an outside edge rusher, but he's also big enough to be a defensive lineman. Could potentially grow into a defensive tackle, but I see him more as a defensive end at the college level. And I think going into the visit, Ohio State probably had the edge. Not sure who has the edge right now. I think Alabama made a strong statement with him this weekend, and they are really pushing hard. He's been one of their top defensive line targets throughout the entire recruiting process. They only have one defensive line commitment right now. Now, I do think they could end up with another one as early as this week, but I do think that Alabama is in the running for Edric Houston, but just not ready to make a prediction just yet. But those are two guys out of Buford that Alabama really wants in their recruiting class.
Which one of the two would you say right now Bama has a better shot at?
I'd probably go with Edric, just because defensive line is such a big priority position for Alabama in this class. They only have one defensive line commitment so far. I think they made a really big move with Edric this weekend. Like I said, not ready to make a prediction just yet, but I think that Alabama certainly has a great chance. It's going to be hard for Alabama to go in and get KJ Bolden just because they were able to get the number one and number two player in the state of Georgia in last year's recruiting cycle, including the top safety in the country, Caleb Downs. Now, KJ did say that he would love to play with Caleb Downs, knowing that he's back there working with him in the secondary, that he, somebody that he can trust. So, that's going to be interesting to see if they could potentially pull that off. But Dylan Raiola, Georgia quarterback commitment, just recently transferred into high school. So that, even if KJ and Edric end up picking somewhere else, he's going to have Dylan in their ear for the next several months until they sign that letter of intent.
Man, they got a Georgia recruiter right there at Buford High School. How about that? All right, let's go on to another group of teammates. The Buford boys weren't the only teammates on campus. Bama hosted modern-day teammates running back Nathaniel Frazier and cornerback Zabian Brown. Now, I felt heading into the trip that Frazier was in a better spot than Brown in terms of where Alabama stands, but does Bama have a real shot at either of these guys right now?
As far as the teamates are concerned, I feel like Alabama has a better chance with the Mater Day teammates than they may have
out of California.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Mater Day. I mean, that's a school that Alabama's targeted and recruited for a long time. You go back to Bryce Young signing with Alabama back in that 2020 class, and now they're going after Zabian and Nathaniel Frazier. Frazier visited for the first time back in April. Had a lot of great things to say about his trip. I mean, Alabama's really made him a top priority. Even though they signed two of the top four running backs in last year's class, he still sees an opportunity to gain a lot of playing time in Tuscaloosa. So that's somebody that I think we're watching really closely as we go into July. Now, Zabian Brown probably going to be making a decision here really soon.
Yeah.
I think it comes down between Alabama and USC. Now, he also took a an official visit to Ohio State. I think he canceled a visit to Oregon. So it's going to come down to Alabama and USC. And we've seen these battles between Alabama and USC the last few years for kids in the state of California. I saw it a couple years ago at Mater Day with Damani Jackson, who was leaning towards Alabama at one time, but ends up sticking with his commitment to USC. So we'll see if that home state pressure is still there. But Xavier really likes Alabama a lot, and they've made him a major priority. And he's certainly one of the defensive backs that they've been pushing hard for in this recruiting class.
What a recruitment. You never know. The Buford boys are right there, right next door, but the California group, they have a better shot at landing them at Alabama. Let's stay with the theme of twos. There's a pair of UGA commitments on campus, not teammates, not high school teammates, but they are both committed to Georgia. Ellis Robinson and Peyton Woodyard, both are defensive backs. Does Alabama have a shot at flipping them?
I think they've got a shot at least with one of them. I think, two of them, it's going to be kind of tough. Alabama I just don't see them flipping multiple Georgia defensive back commits at this time. But I do think that they can get one. With Peyton Woodyard, this is a kid who grew up in an Alabama household. His father's originally from Mobile, been a big Alabama fan his whole life. Committed to Georgia early, has visited Georgia several times, but has made 2 trips to Alabama this year. And I think he had a great time in T-Town. And he was hosted by Caleb Downs, so spent a lot of time with the former number 1 safety in the country, and really likes it a lot in Tuscaloosa. I could see him possibly flipping down the road. Now, he's taken other officials this month, including Ohio State and USC, as well as Georgia. But I think there's probably a little bit better chance with Peyton Woodyard. Ellis Robinson, had Alabama and Georgia as his top 2 schools before making that decision, has expressed that he had a great time in Tuscaloosa. And we're going to have an interview with him on BamaOnline here either today or tomorrow. So I'll be looking forward to that. But I think probably a little bit more of a long shot with Ellis Robinson, but we should see him back in Tuscaloosa this fall. It could get pretty tight as we get a little bit closer to signing day.
All right, Bone, Alabama, they recruit the country as good or better than anybody else, any other program. And now they're going international. So explain to me why Alabama is looking for a pass rusher from Canada and a linebacker from Germany.
Well, it's all about camp season. You bring in guys during camp. There's a lot of guys that are going to come in there and they're going to earn offers. There's some that, they're going to lose their offers. And, Alabama was able to have a few international players on campus this month. Steve Mbukwo, he is a edge rusher who just got offered by Alabama on Sunday. 6'4", 260 pounds. And Alabama, they don't have any edge rushers in their recruiting class right now. They've been looking for at least one, maybe 2. And this is a guy that was really impressive at camp and ends up getting an offer on just yesterday. He camped about a week ago and talked to Nick Saban on Sunday and got that offer. And then on Saturday, Alabama also extended an offer to Justin Okonkoro. He is a linebacker from Germany who is currently committed to Maryland. This is a kid who's 6'3", 225 pounds, and ran a 4.54 at Alabama's camp this past week. So this was a guy that they were really impressed with. Obviously, I think they would like to see him a little bit this fall, see him in some game film, but I don't think they would turn him down at all if he called up Nick Saban and wanted to commit right now. That's how impressive he was at the Tides camp last week.
Nick Saban did take a vacation a couple weeks ago to Italy. Are we sure that he wasn't also over there recruiting?
Right? Nick Saban never stops recruiting.
Right.
You're always kind of surprised when he's on vacation or he snaps a photo from the lake or something like that. But that man never stopped recruiting. And we were talking to kids during his Italian vacation, and they were all saying, "Yeah, I talked to Coach Saban today." Well, did you know he's in Italy? No, he never even mentioned it. So that guy's always on, and he hardly ever takes a break. So it wouldn't be surprised if he was out there scouting some kids over in Europe.
Bone, no major Alabama commitments this weekend, but are things going to heat up on the recruiting trail over the next 2 to 3 weeks? How many prospects do you think Bama could land before the end of July?
Yeah, I think that number is going to grow. As we get a little bit closer to July, July and August are kind of the times where we see a lot of commitments. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to see at least 10 to 12 guys make decisions, with Alabama in that top 2, top 3, maybe even more than that. So we could see Alabama having close to 20 recruits in their class by the time we get to August. So it's going to be a busy, busy month in July. I know a lot of coaches are going on vacation right now. Now that it's the dead period, and they've been going kind of nonstop with camp season and official visits. But I talked to a source yesterday, and they said, listen, it might be the dead period, but it's going to be the busiest July that we've ever seen with all these kids making decisions. So many kids have not publicly announced that they're going to commit in July, but we already know that they are committing in July. So it's going to be a really big number, and it's going to be interesting to kind of watch and see how it all unfolds, because it's been a busy month with official visits, and we've seen the new rule with the unlimited official visits coming into place, but I don't think a lot of kids are taking advantage of that. Some are, but a lot of them took their visits in June, and they're going to be making decisions in June and July. Now, we'll see if they still take visits in the fall like they can, but a lot of them are ready to get this process over with.
The dead period is usually the furthest thing from dead. Don't get mistaken by the name of this current period we're in. It is not dead. Andrew Bone, thank you for stopping by the Inside Scoop. Bama Online has a ton of information. I've been on there all weekend checking it out. Thanks again for your time, and have fun over the next 2 to 3 weeks with all these commitments.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me, and remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.